All right, so today is butcher day. We have 200 birds to do. We'll do 100 today and 100 tomorrow. And get on here and show you guys our setup before we go gather these birds up in our chick buggy. That's what I call it. Works pretty good. It's just an apple bin attached to a trailer. But yeah, here's our setup. So we got our kill cones. This is our turkey cone, but we use it as a holding cone. So we'll bleed 4 out, and then as the first one gets done, we'll move it to here and we'll start on another one, and then we'll start the scalding process, which is water that is held at between 145 and 150. We'll scald them in there for 30 to 40 seconds. Move them to the plucker for 15 to 20 seconds, and then we usually have a nozzle here where we can spray water in. And then they'll come over here to the stainless table, and this is where Elizabeth and I will gut them and save whatever we want to save: feet, hearts, liver, gizzards, etc. And then we have a bucket down below here that we throw the rest in. And then from there, they go to the sink. We wash them out here, and then from there, we put them in a cool water bath, which is just well water temperature water. And they'll sit in here for 15 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on how hot it is. It's supposed to be really hot today too. So after that, they go into clean water, which is ice water. And we just keep adding ice to this and keep it really, really cold. And what this process does is it allows the chickens to cool slowly, because if you cool them too quickly, or you don't cool them quickly enough, they will end up being tough and not as tender, you know. So they're better if you cool them slowly. And then after these guys sit in here for an hour or two, or when we finish the first 50 or so, Elizabeth will come over here, and this is our bagging station. So we'll pull them out of this ice bath, do a quality control check, just wash them off, clean them up, pull any feathers we might have missed, and then they come over here to this table where we let them dry for a few minutes, 5 or 6 at a time. Bring them over here into this, and this water stays about 195 to 200 degrees, and this is where we use our shrink wrap bag. So we'll bag them up here in the bags, we'll shrink wrap them, dip them in the water here, and that seals the bag, and then we take them inside and put them in our freezer. So we'll show you that process today, exactly how we do it. All right, so we're up here in the pasture at the first tractor here. This one has somewhere between 40 and 50 birds in it. And we'll gather all these. All these guys will fit nicely in this apple bin. And then we'll drive it out, head on down the road, and start processing. So a little trick we use, if you have these style tractors, sometimes they're a little difficult to get out from the back. We'll throw a little food, or in this case a little grits. We don't have any food up here, and we'll just put their feeder in. And they'll come running, we can grab a few, and then just kind of repeat the process. All right, we got that entire tractor in there. Let's get them down. All right, so we'll take you through the process on one bird. We won't show you the kill, but we'll show you each step. So we pick one out of here, just grab it random. We make sure we hold their wings close. That way they don't flap, because if they flap, they can bruise their wings. And then what you have is an unsellable bird. So we put them in the cone. We pull their head through like this. We have a bucket below. And then you'll want to cut it right there where her finger just was. All right, so after we cut it, it bleeds out. It takes about a minute, maybe even 2 minutes to fully bleed out. And then what we do is we catch all the blood in the bucket, and we take the blood and we end up using it in our garden. Tomatoes, you know, on cucumbers, squash, all of that. So yeah, once it's done bleeding out, we'll show you how we put it in the scalder and the plucker and continue. So when you are cutting the chicken's neck, you want to make sure you apply enough pressure where you can do it quickly, and you want to make sure your knife is sharp enough. But be careful on the pressure you push through, because you can actually cut all the way through and cut your finger, especially if you're using a really sharp knife. So just practice a little bit. All right, so then we put them in the scalder. We add a little Dawn dish soap to it, and it helps the feathers come off more easily. whoops, there's our little Duncan stick. So we use that because we keep a lot of the feet. So we use this to swirl the bird around. You want to move it around, that way the water gets under the feathers and really soaks into those feathers, and it'll make it much easier to pluck. So you do this for about 30 seconds roughly. And then how you tell if they're done is you can pull them out of the water and grab the back of their feathers here, and if they pull off really easily, then it's ready to go. And you put them in the plucker. Spray water on them and hose them. Takes about 15-20 seconds. All right, then we pull them out of the plucker and we can start the evisceration process. So we always start with the legs. Should be very, very easy to cut. If they're hard to cut, then that means you're cutting bone and you're doing it incorrectly. We cut the oil gland off, flip them over, cut just above the vent. Don't want to cut too deep, you'll cut the insides. Pull them open, stick your hand in. You want to reach around the gizzard, around the liver,
the heart,
and then you pull it all out. And you want to be careful when you're doing this process because you can rupture the little bile sac that's on the liver right here. And if that happens, you have an unsellable chicken. Or you have a chicken that you probably don't want to eat. There's the lung, there's 2 of them. And then you want to be really careful. You want to cut around the vent here, leaving as much fat as you can because that adds extra flavor to the bird when you cook it. Then you come over here and you pull the windpipe and the crop out at the same time. And then we pull the heads off rather than cut, that way there's no sharp edges. And then if you're saving the liver and the gizzards, you come through here and you cut them out. That's the gizzard there. There's the liver.
For the bile sac, you want to pinch just above it in the liver so that you don't rupture the sac. You just pull it off, and the liver is usually attached to the heart. And then we just ice those along with the feet. And the rest goes in
the bucket.
A bucket.
So then the next process, come over here to our sink, wash her down, get all the blood, anything we might have missed, a little bit of the feathers off.
Rinse the cavity out really well.
Make sure you get all the blood out. And then from here, they go into our cool water bath. And then they'll sit there for 15-20 minutes, maybe even 30 sometimes. And we'll move them to the ice bath as this thing starts getting full, and your cool water will probably get bloody and maybe even a little dirty. So what you want to do after you move them to the ice bath is empty your cool water out and refill. You want to keep that cool and clean anyways, but what you really want to avoid is getting your ice bath bloody and dirty. So they need to soak in the cool water bath long enough where they get any excess blood out. All right, we'll update you when we're all done, but that's just our process for a single bird. We got probably going to do 100 today, maybe a little less. We'll see kind of how the day goes, but we'll update you as we go through. All right, so it's been about a half hour, maybe 40 minutes. This bucket is full. So what we do is we just let them drain here for a second. And then we already added ice to this. we'll put them in there. Like I said, you want this water as clean as possible. So there you go. We'll transfer them all. And that's all done. We'll add more ice to this and refill this tub because you can see it's kind of bloody. We'll refill this tub and continue. All right, so this one has been fully chilled. It's been cleaned and washed, and quality control has been done. So next is we put them in this shrink wrap bag here. We put a zip tie them around them with a straw in it. It lets the air out when you dip them in the water. So we'll show you that process here. So this water's been heating up. It's about 195 degrees. Dip them in.
About 10 seconds.
Pull them out. Pull the straw out. Close the zip tie. And then cut your excess off. And you're done. Alright, after that, you can label them, put the date on them, put the weight on them, and throw them in the freezer. And you're done. Well, we got finished processing them all. Elizabeth's still bagging. She probably still got about another hour and a half of bagging left. And there's probably about 40-50 birds left in there for her to bag up. But everything else is done, so we can add the guts to the compost pile, go feed and water everybody for the afternoon, and call it a day.